Hey everyone, this is Kat
And Amber.
and we are Wondering Soup. And today we come to you with another video about traveling. Or is it moving? Or is it traveling? Yeah, a little bit of both.
Thinking about moving.
Right. We've sort of lumped it together in like the 5 next things or steps that you should think about. Because basically you decided you want to move, right? You've done some research and you ready. So these are things that you think you should think about next.
Before you go.
Right. Before you plant yourself in that new soil abroad, which is always a beautiful thing. So I guess we should kick it off with the one that I think sticks out to me the most, the one that you're gonna feel as soon as you get off of the airplane or the train or however you're gonna get to wherever you're going, and that's cultural norms.
Yeah. I mean, the things you don't think about, but you live in them every single day.
Right. Every day. It's part of your upbringing. It's how memes are made. You know, they talk about how, things that went on in your household, and you're like, oh yeah, that happened in my household too. So it's cultural norms when you're moving abroad. You gotta look at, I think you should look rather, at a country and say, do you want to go against sort of everything that you know? Do you want to try something different? And with that in mind, you gotta be open, receptive, and adaptable. That's a good word, right? Right. So, are you moving to a country where family is like really heavily pushed, and you're not that type of person? Is that gonna be the country for you? Right? Do you care? That every Wednesday and Sunday, the whole entire family of the clan gets together. I mean, all 200 people in town, or 150 or 50 people get together. Is this not the type of thing that interests you?
Right. And that may effectively shut down wherever you are.
Right.
Like the businesses and how people kind of socialize.
Right.
That's gonna affect, how you get around and navigate in the city as well, if it's that type of culture.
Right. I mean, like, what are things people do not do in public? Do they not do PDA? Do they not hold hands in public? Is that not something that you think about? Or is something that you like to do, right? Do they have to have full body coverings if you're a woman? Is this something that you want to adapt to? Those are the cultural norms that we're talking about, and those are the things that you have to think about when you're moving abroad. Is it something that you can adapt to and that you want to adapt to?
Right, because ultimately it's you moving to a different place. Right. They're not coming to you. So if you're going to be there, then you do have to have some form of appreciation / respect for the situation that you're moving to. So you need to think about that. What about things like food, which is what I think about.
Right.
Food, sometimes people eat at different times of the day. They don't necessarily stay open all day long. Like some places, some countries you go to, they eat early and then there's nothing open. Right. And then they may eat late, and then you have to get kind of adjust your eating schedule to that. Staying up later if you're not a morning person or whatever. Or even things like a wet market. Like the first time I saw a wet market, I was like, okay. Where you just have like everything, all the meat, all the seafood is just outside in in stalls, and it's just out there, and it's a little bit, for me it was a little bit much, but you have to get used to that. And even if you don't want to buy from those, like you're like, no, that's not my thing, I need to buy my stuff from the grocery store, doesn't mean that the food you get at a restaurant isn't coming from that same wet market. So
exactly. Yeah, that's a real good one. That wet market was a shock. And as Amber mentioned about even restaurants, there's some countries where everything shuts down on Sundays. And if that's the day that you typically go shopping, you're not going to be shopping there on Sunday. You may not be eating out on Sunday. So, that really ties into a cultural thing. The wind is really beautiful. It's beautiful. Something fell into the pool. Amber's never laughing at it. But we'll get it out anyway. So, and then there's also customer service, red tape, things just taking a slower pace than what you're used to. And we're coming from a U.S. perspective, of course. So think about those things when you're moving abroad. Is it something that you could get used to, something you want to get used to, but you really seriously just cannot jump in and then complain the entire time that you're there? And we've seen that so many times in the expat groups. People move somewhere and they just really hate the basis of these people or this country. And I'm like, Did you not do any research before you moved here? Did you not expect any of this?
Right.
And that's what's weird.
Yeah, it's all fine and good to want to, you know, be adventurous and
Right.
discover, but if you're not going to actually be open
Right.
while you're doing it, then it's better to, you know, just wait until you are. Because you'll enjoy it much more.
Right. Definitely much more.
Yeah.
Next up is visas. This is always something. I really try not to get into visas that much because it really will vary on the person and the circumstance, but you really need to do some research on your visa or the visa requirements for that country. And also tax obligations if you're only going to be there temporary, if you're not going to have, if you're not trying to relocate there and become a citizen, things of that nature. So you really got to look at, again, the visa, the requirements, your tax application as a U.S. citizen, and what if that visa requirement says you can't work there, you can't receive income and things like that. So visas are a huge, huge point of knowledge and contention, actually.
Right. I mean, and it's just you have to stay on, like, the date of when things have to be renewed. Like, when your visa has to be renewed, like, you really have to be on top of that. And that's easy to miss. I mean, it's easy to miss. Right. We miss, you know, when to renew or cancel our subscriptions all the time.
Right.
This is a subscription you cannot forget
Right.
because there will be a fine. There could be
there
could be other implications and consequences.
You may get banned from the country for a certain length of time. So you gotta be cognizant of that date, and you need to start the process. I think when we were in Cambodia, you get 30 days, and then you have to do some other stuff. You gotta leave. We ended up, extending, doing another visa, but you gotta pay for all these things, and you have to have it. Boom, boom, boom. You gotta be on it. Like you walk in the country, and if it's only a 30-day visa, and you're trying to get the longer visa, you gotta walk in the door working on getting that next visa. You can't just vacation if you're planning on staying there. Thailand had the 90-day visa. You have to plan when you're going to be leaving the country so that you can come back in and renew that to get another 90-day visa. You got to also be aware of rules, regulations, government changes. There's new elected officials, and what that generally means is that there's going to be some changes going on. So be cognizant. You cannot live in an expat bubble of not being aware of what's going on in the country as well as the country that you love, which some people do. They want to get away from all that.
Yeah, and right now there's a lot of changes, like you said, just because of what's going on in the world. Like countries are changing their policies, all the time. Governments are changing, like you can, how long you can stay. So even if you have traveled and you're somewhere, like make sure you stay on top of like what is actually happening right now.
Right.
And there are emails that you can sign up for, newsletters basically that the government sends out for people who are traveling. And you should definitely be on those. You should be registered so that you're getting those emails, because those will give you alerts when things happen and changes.
Right. And you may have to leave the country. Who knows? All right. Next up is dating. Woo-hoo! It may or may not happen. That's a simple and cut and dried of it all. There's especially if you're single. I don't know. I mean, it's hard out here.
Especially if you're single, as opposed to if you're married and dating.
People are probably, I don't know. But if you're single and you want to mingle, which is what I meant, Amber. If you're single and you want to mingle, it may be hard if you don't know the language, you don't know the cultural norms when it comes to dating. That's a big one, right? And you just don't know. Maybe the expat community is small. Maybe you only date this type, and this is the only type available. Is this other type? You got to be open. If you're moving abroad and you're single and you want to mingle, dating is going to be a huge thing.
Right. I mean, I'm going to say that that's one of the things that you should definitely be open about. Definitely, like when you're going to go somewhere, like don't let that stop you. That I might not be able to meet someone if that's something that you're open to, because if it means you don't know the language and that you're going to start learning the language because you're going to start being around people who speak it, then do that. Be open to that. Like people do it all the time, and like don't feel like you have to be afraid. Even in the States, like people are afraid to kind of like venture out when it comes to dating. I mean, that's understandable.
You're gonna have to venture out.
It's understandable, but definitely don't be hesitant when it comes to travel and moving. Don't let that stop you, because
right. But be cognizant that the dating pool will be small if you limit yourself to only the things that you know.
English speaking especially.
Right. I mean, if that's your language, you could be any
Right.
language.
Right.
If you're from Australia, you're only looking to date Australians,
Right.
you can go back to Australia. And if you're an American and you want to date Americans, go back to America. I mean, you can't come here and expect to find that too much. So just be open. That's
Right.
all. That's all I'm really saying. And I'm married, so I don't know. But from what I hear, people tell me, it's hard out here.
It'd be a great time.
Yeah, we heard it. We heard it. Next up is community. Woo! You gotta build it, baby. It's you build it, they will come. As soon as you get on the land, I honestly say within 5 to 10 days after you've gotten somewhere, you need to start reaching out and making connections. That will be the only way that you will make it here, wherever you go.
Oh, absolutely. And even if that community is mostly online to begin with, because I mean it's understandable people who don't want to be out in public a whole lot and do that kind of thing and meet people in public.
That's right now, though.
Yeah, you still can. You still absolutely can. People are out, and we run into people in Walmart all the time. So, but even if it's just an online community, like actually be open and friendly to people in groups, and then that's how you build community.
Right.
Being someone that people can look to and also feel like is going to be encouraging for them. Nobody wants to be around someone who's a negative Nancy about their
The
situation.
new country that they moved to.
Right.
Right. But I stress that to keep your sanity, humans need interaction with other humans, right? So you need to, just like we said, work on getting your visa, making sure that you're, keeping that good to go. You need to be keeping your community good to go as well. Open yourself, and we're not just saying look for expat as friends. We're saying the community. You just moved to a new country. Meet some locals. Be friendly. I don't know, maybe smiling isn't the norm there, so don't walk around looking like smiling Charlie. But be open to new things. That's why you moved there, right? Even with my wife beside me and having instant companionship, I still am looking for friends here. Because that's what you need to make it as a human. Next up, and the last thing, is racism. Ooh, it's here, it's everywhere. And that's basically the sum total of that for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're leaving where you are because of racism, then I don't know that you're gonna find your solution by leaving where you are. I don't think that's a solution. Can you feel more free somewhere else? Absolutely. Can it give you some peace of mind to leave where you've been? Absolutely. But I would never say that moving from specifically where I'm from, the U.S. to another country is going to solve all of your issues of racism.
I'm going to disagree because we can't. But I think that leaving the U.S. will alleviate a lot of stress of the racism that is there, and that will help you make a much healthier lifestyle for yourself. So in that sense, I say, yeah, leave, but be cognizant that it is eradicated. There is no bubble. There is no safety land for you. So there is going to be racism. That's it.
Yeah.
I think those are the next steps. We wanted to share with you things that we've thought about as we've moved from country to country, and things we really didn't think about too much when we were first moving abroad.
Yeah.
I think we were like, we just want to go somewhere with sort of cheap
Food.
and food, right? So as we journeyed along, though, we come across these other things that we should have thought about, but that things that we actually put into place now further in our journey.
That's true.
We definitely did it when we got here. I think all these steps we've put into place as we, especially in this particular move to Mexico. So we're good. We're real good.
Yeah. Bringing it all to you, what we've learned.
Right. And we are growing. And as we grow, we share. And as always, we share once a week or so here on Wondering Soup. I am Kat.
And I'm Amber.
We'll see you on the next video, y'all. Peace and love.